And so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll say it clear. Excuse me. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. All right, Sergio is in, and Indo, Z Hill, Zachary, Dow Lord, Tyler, Joe Harold, the Golden TNT, Fat Ass, yeah, Tim's here, Willie, Shadow 5273, Empire Jeff, Andrew Wilson, Dark Dingo, Johnny Bravocado, Stronge. I don't know what Stronge means. I do know what Strange Cyborg means, though. Shelby's in, and Krusty Bomb, and the Deity. Oh, we could use a deity around here. CDV, Spaz Dev, Lupu, Cheyenne, good to see ya. And Nate the Great McFly. Yeah, as you guys saw this morning, I'm already charged up. YouTube has pissed me off with this one. I think a lot of you guys have been pissed off with this one, and for a number of reasons. Aiden says, "What's up, Curtis? Not watching the school because it's my winter break now. I'm eating some spicy nugs." Nice. The spicy nugs. I can't eat them because I'm a pussy. I could tap dance around it a little bit, but that's the bottom line. When it comes to spicy foods, I'm the biggest puss you ever saw. But nugs are like the ultimate for Spaz Kid. Ever since he was little, nugs and mac and cheese. Yeah, my grandkids are on Christmas vacation this week too. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter's downstairs because my grandson, his birthday is coming up. It's the 22nd. So he's having friends over for a party today into tomorrow, and he didn't want his little sister around annoying him. So she's going to be with us. She's downstairs playing some Minecraft. Mark's Mediocre That's a good name. Mediocre Productions. Hey, Curtis, I'm watching this while doing online school, doing an art assignment. Oh, that's my ultimate weakness. Guys, I am absolutely the least artistic person you'll ever meet in your lives. I can guarantee you that. Raven says PewDiePie is greater than Coco Melon. And the worst part about it, Raven, is, what the hell? Coco Melon hasn't even entered the fray. It's all just YouTube. And we know I'm going to make another video. This morning, I woke up and I was just livid. I told you guys in the video I recorded that. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning because that's when I get up to start making videos for the Goosh, our Patreon. And I saw they took that video down and then saw why. And this with an established practice in place that allows them to age restrict videos, which you can make the case it was eligible for age restriction, absolutely. But there is way, way more egregious stuff on their platform right now that runs in exactly the same vein. This was entirely personal, and that's a problem, and that's what I'm going to make a video about later, because now as it sinks in more and more, I just want everybody to understand how much of an issue this is. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, any of them. And I'm not even going to get into the politics of it at this point. It's just the idea of them being an arbiter of information that can be exchanged when they have become the number one way that information is exchanged. And what I don't get, too, YouTube's crossing a line here, as far as I'm concerned, and so is the government, in large part, in wanting to parent our children. That gets personal for me. I'm fully capable of determining what is appropriate for my kids to see and what is not appropriate for them to see, or my grandkids, or whoever the case may be. So, again, if you want to age restrict something, cool. That covers your ass. But getting rid of a form of comedy, of satire, because it crossed a line? Fuck you. What line? Because you don't have a line when it comes to all kinds of other shit on your platform. And not only that, there's no line to be crossed there. Again, it's satirical. Don't like it? Don't watch it. Don't want kids watching it? Age restrict it. Pretty simple shit. Audio seems a little low. My phone is at max. Is audio low for anybody else, guys? Before I go, I don't want to play with the audio just in case Wolverine's having an individual problem. Hey, Em. Sounds pretty good. Audio fine. Audio fine. Yeah, might be something on your device, Wolverine. I just don't want to crank my audio up if it's good for everybody else and blow their ears out. Good for me? Okay, thank you, guys. Well put, Johnny. Johnny says YouTube is on some Weenie Hut Jr. shit. That's pretty good. Aiden says, my birthday is next month, and I'm having a party and barbecue with some friends in the local water reservoir. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. We got, in our family, we got a lot of birthdays between our family and friends, February and March. April, too, for that matter. It's just a busy freaking time. Whatever is 9 months prior to this segment, a lot of people that are either friends or family of ours were really getting busy. The only line I'm afraid to cross is the grand line, CC Meta says. A guy's live suicide is okay for YouTube. Yeah, Poppy. I mean, this was just ridiculous only because it was so clearly personal. And again, to me, that's a problem. Soder says, I don't know much about the context around why it was taken down. All I know from what I saw is it was just a pretty cringy video. Yeah, but cringy isn't if cringy becomes the standard by which YouTube removes videos, there goes half their platform. A lot of mine included. Willy's Wonderland? No, and I haven't seen that. Willy's Wonderland? I gotta admit, it sounds a little porno-ish, though. Just that's the title. Oh, I didn't know about that. M says, we were telling Poppy, there's a video of a car chase that happened here. It was being covered by the news, and they didn't switch it off in time before he shot himself in the head, and it's all over YouTube. And again, we're talking about something, and this is stuff that hits close to home for me, because you guys know what a big deal freedom of expression is to me. And beyond that, it just pains me to see how so many comedians, whether it's stand-up or sketch comedy or whatever, have been beaten into submission by the PC crowds. And the fact is, some of the great comedy is all about distortion. Comedy is all about taking things to extremes or taking things and running with them in exaggeration. So if we're going to start determining what is acceptable to be made fun of because somebody's fifis might get hurt, that's a real big fucking problem. It really gets me wanting... I've thought about doing this too. Let me tell you guys, it's really gotten me thinking about, you know what? I'll get my own goddamn server and create my, and put up my own website with my own videos, and I'll do comedy the way that I used to do comedy back in the day. Because fuck you. If you, and that fuck you being to anybody that thinks that because I might say something that offends them, I shouldn't be allowed to say it. Go fuck yourself. I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of everybody's standard having to be the standard for all. Well, you can't make fun of this group because they're marginalized. Well, guess what? All of us are marginalized to some degree. And just because of somebody's marginalization doesn't mean they're exempt from satire. Doesn't mean they're exempt from, as a group, we're not talking about going after people specifically or individually, unless you're in the public eye. And again, that includes me. If you're in the public spotlight, if you're making your money by being an entertainer, an actor, even a professional athlete, hey, guess what? You're fair game. If you don't want that, don't be involved in something that's going to put you in the public eye. But everybody's super sensitive now. Social Mute says the world would be a boring place without you, dude. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Because the one thing I don't want to be is boring. I do not want to contribute to the boredom of society. Absolutely. I like that tagline, Em. Curtis, making the world a better place. One bad touch at a time. Yeah. Hey, Moonshine Girl. Good to see you again, hon. Rover says, YouTube shouldn't care about satire looking like kid shows on YouTube because all the kids should be on YouTube Kids. Well, that's the thing too, Rover. That's what really got me. That's why YouTube has in place already existing an age filter. That is not only all that should be expected of them as far as content like that. It's all that's necessary. If kids are getting by the age filter and watching that, that's their parents' problem. It's not YouTube's problem. And okay, let's say that whatever the reason, because I think I mentioned in the I forgot to mention in the video, but I wrote it in the comment or in the description of the video. I was fortunate enough because I hadn't seen Pewd's vid yet. I was going to do it as a reaction today, as a matter of fact. But one of the reaction videos to it was still up when I got up this morning, so I was able to see it through that. A kid was going to be irreparably harmed by seeing that, with all the other content that's out there and available online, on TV, on streaming services and shit. That's why children have parents. If the kid does see something unintended, and they don't understand it, that's the parent's job to come in and say, okay, well, this is why you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't view that, but this is what they were doing, and it's not. This person was exaggerating. They were doing things to be crazy. This doesn't happen in real life. That's what parents are for. And then you get the response, particularly from government agencies, that, well, not every child has a parent. Well, guess what? You're not the fucking substitute government at all. No way, shape, or form should you ever be allowed to be the government. I will tell you this. It's one of the few things I can say is completely cross-platform, cross-ideology in politics. It covers both sides completely. If you guys don't think that every politician of any note, of any level, particularly at a federal level, wants more and more control, then you're insane. They all do. They want as much control over us as possible. They're egomaniacs for the most part. But beyond that, the more control they have, obviously, the more power they have. And that's frightening because we've got too many, and again, I'm talking both sides. We've got too many people, too many citizens who are willingly allowing this. I'm not a revolutionary. I'm not somebody looking to overthrow the government. I'm just relating to you what I'm seeing. And guys, as a whole, we have to wake up a little bit. Those motherfuckers are supposed to work for us, and it's not working that way at all. They have no fear of the people. Maybe a fear of a Twitter mob here or there, but that's only one specific sector of the political spectrum that even cares about that. That's a problem. Willie says, did you see the new gun laws Biden is supposedly proposing? It would make who has guns, what guns they have, and where they keep them all around the country available to the public. Yeah, Biden has been, for me, I told you guys, even though I voted for Trump, I didn't have anything against Biden. I voted for Trump based on policy and the fact that I was concerned that Biden might be too influenced by the heavy or the extreme left part of his party, and I've been very, very disappointed in Biden already. I think he's got little to no chance of getting those laws passed, those gun control laws. And especially right now, there has never been as big a boom in gun sales, ammunition sales, and basically just armament flying off the shelves in America as there has been the last 2 years. So this is when he decides that he's going to come in there and get public support for taking them away from people. I've come to the conclusion that it's terrible because Trump was a lunatic and now Biden's a fucking doddering old idiot. I've never really been to this point before with the politics in America, but they're garbage. I mean, the most part of what we have out there is just garbage. They're not particularly bright individuals, and they certainly, no matter what they will tell you, do not have your best interests at heart. They are concerned for their best interests. Trust me. And that's both sides, all sides, every side. Johnny says, I don't fit into the conservative crowd because I do 100% support gay, trans, and whatever rights, but I also don't fit in the liberal crowd because I'm not PC. That's why I say, Johnny, I wouldn't want a home with either side, and I don't have one for a lot of the same reasons. Well, again, how am I going to fit in the conservative side anyway, just by the fact that I'm an atheist? But also, as you said, I've supported gay marriage, See, I support gay marriage, LGBTQ rights, all that stuff. I'm not a big supporter of there being more than two genders. I don't think that documents need to be changed for that and stuff. I have no problem with somebody saying, "Hey, I think something's not right with me. The gender I was assigned doesn't feel right." And if they want to make a change, good for you. Have a good time about it. But if you think that we need to accept that there are 87 genders, no. So as soon as you say that to a lot of people, you become an enemy of the LGBT, of the alphabet. But just not true. I was supportive of gay marriage because I had gay friends that I wanted to see able to get married for decades now. And again, being an atheist doesn't exactly endear you to conservatives, but I'm very much personal responsibility and very much against the over political correctness within society. Wishel says, so get rid of the system. Well, first of all, before you say get rid of the system, you would have to have a superior system in mind. Second of all, you don't need to get rid of the system. You need to get rid of the people who are corrupting the system. And we can do that. It's just that we as a society have become just a little too lax in allowing all this to take place. But identifying issues is one thing, correcting them is another. You say get rid of the system, you have to have a superior system to replace it with. You can't go without a system, or then you just have barbarism, basically. Tyler says, there needs to be an age limit on political offices so people like Biden and other politicians that have no idea what is going on don't get in office. See, I'm not for that, though, Tyler, just because it's ageism. And even though I'm not necessarily a fan in general of the way old people conduct themselves, I think it's up to us at the voting booth to take care of that. I mean, that's up to us as an electorate, I believe. I don't believe in disallowing someone based on their age. Rover says the two-party system works in the government's favor. Oh, sure it does. Since it's super easy to put a them or me mentality into the people. They fight each other. They can't fight you. It's a mental war. No, absolutely. And, well, again, with the issues in America, I think we could take down the temperature as far as the animus in this country easily. I don't know why. Well, yes, I know why, because the politicians won't allow it. We should be looking to distribute power, much more power, decision-making, policy-making to the local levels, to the state level, even down to the county levels. Because this country does have such a huge disparity of views on on everything, pretty much. And they are generally localized by region. If we took a lot of the decision-making away from the federal government and spread it to the state and local governments, that would alleviate a lot of the animosity in this country right away, because people living in a certain area wouldn't be being affected by people that live on the other side of the country. Their policies wouldn't be being dictated by people that live in an entirely different reality than do they. Jack Queen says, I've decided I'm from the Xenu alien race and you have to abide by my made-up race. Susan Wojcicki is a Hitler of the internet, Nicholas says. I wouldn't go that far. Listen, I'm going to make a video about this too at some point. I do like having these conversations with you guys. In fairness, I am more than willing to give credit when it's due. When YouTube does something right, and they have in the past, I don't think it does any of us justice to just come after YouTube no matter what their decision is. It's just that a lot of their recent decisions are absolute garbage. Soder says, I don't think there are like 50 or whatever genders, but after researching the philosophy regarding it, I came around to the non-binary stuff. Gender doesn't always directly connect to biology. You can make that case if you want, Soder. It's not something that, for me personally, I have a lot of time for. If you can't identify as male or female, I don't know what to tell you. If those two selections aren't good enough for you, I don't think the rest of us owe anybody any time or effort spent on trying to figure out what your gender is going to be then. Again, I have zero issue with trans people. I can't say from personal experience. I know what it's like to want to be the opposite gender, but I can certainly understand how that could happen. And that would suck. You know, if you're born with a penis and you're like, you never felt like a dude and everything about you feels like you should be a female, well, sure, go ahead. You're not hurting me in any way. Go ahead and do it. But when you take that next step and it's like, well, I'm gender fluid because I don't fit it. And that may be how you feel. Good for you. For me, I don't have time for it. And I don't think the rest of us are under any obligation to recognize it as far as official paperwork, or why now when you apply for this, it has to say male, female, other, whatever, high-flying war machine, whatever else you want to be known as. Willie says, I am a Christian and in complete support of gay marriage. Actually, I know a lot of Christians that are in support, which always surprises me and pleases me. If we're all created in God's image, then wouldn't that mean that he wouldn't damn you for being who you are? I would like to think that's how it works, Willie. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Trevor says, first thing we should do to fix the system is eliminate Twitter. Well, I think there's no question. I think we would probably all agree that social media has played the biggest factor in certainly the nation and even the world becoming as heated as it is right now. So much antipathy throughout. I think that's a huge, huge part of it. Jack Queen says, so long as they don't try and make a law that we have to abide by it, considering it's biological nonsense. Well, that's my opinion on it too. And the thing of it is, Jack, again, whatever everybody wants to do on their own is their own thing. But to me, for my way of thinking, there are certain areas where it's like the rest of us don't have to be involved in that. If you can't decide if you feel like you're a male or a female and you want to call yourself gender fluid, good for you. But you're going to have to, whatever system you want to use, whether you want to flip a coin or whatever, you're going to have to pick one or the other when you're filling out official paperwork. Soder says the problem is that people don't understand that gender isn't sex. Male and female is generally more associated with sex. It's far more complex conversation than most people realize. No, that's not a problem at all. People don't agree with you. Because people don't agree with you doesn't mean they don't understand something. That's a problem in itself. Your attitude is a problem in and of itself. Oh, people don't understand it. No, people understand what you're saying. They don't agree with what you're saying to be the case. Period. You say that gender means much more than male and female, and I don't think it does. It just doesn't. That's how you want to interpret it. Well, people don't understand. Whenever someone is not in agreement with somebody else, the initial place they want to jump is, well, you just don't understand. I completely understand what you're trying to say. I completely disagree with the statement and any merit it may hold. Giggity Goose says the SEC stance in congressional hearings toward Robinhood and hedge funds in reaction to GameStop shows how low on the priority list regular people are. Jesus Christ, Giggity Goo. No kidding. No kidding. I can't believe how this whole GameStop thing has sent the billionaires into a tizzy. It's almost kind of frightening. If you don't even have to upset their apple cart. You just have to put a little pebble on the path that apple cart is traversing for them to have congressional hearings on making sure that it doesn't happen to them again. Yeah, that's bizarre, Giggity Goo. I completely agree. Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
It's perfectly
yeah.
it perfectly exemplifies how little we little folks mean in the great scheme of things. Sinister Charlie says, I say I don't care who you want to frick you, fruit. Yeah, that's the way I am. I've always been like that. As far as sexual orientation or anything, do your own thing. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't people that honestly believe that they don't fit into one sex, gender, whichever you want to call it. To me, as far as I'm concerned, they're both defined by male and female. But if you don't fit into either one, well, that's unfortunate for you, but I don't think the rest of the world needs to make any changes to accommodate that. Renee says the district canceled a week of school because of a blackout due to an ice storm that happened last Saturday. Did you hear about the ice storm in Oregon? Because I was in the area when it happened. I didn't hear about Oregon. Of course, Texas has just been obliterated. That was terrible. What's going on down there? And we had a couple people here, 2 different people from Louisiana last week who were saying that it was supposed to get down to like 10 degrees there, and in Louisiana of all places. I mean, yeah, and the worst part about it is people don't even know, and that, you know, being born and raised in the Northeast, you're familiar. I'm familiar with this type of stuff, so they didn't even understand that. While this was all going on, well, if you lose power and you have an electric heater, you're screwed anyway, water heater. But to keep water running through your pipes, to keep the pipes warm so the ice doesn't accumulate and crack. Well, how would they know that? They've never experienced it. And that's what I mean, to me, that's what, as far as their leaders, should have been making, they should have been breaking into, and maybe they were. I don't live in Texas, so, you know, if some of you do, you can tell me whether this was the case or not. But they should have been breaking into programming on TV, on the radio, and everything when that was coming, saying, okay, these are the things you can do to try and prevent tragedy from happening within your own home. I don't know if they did that or not. You would think that's the least they could have provided. Bob Jones says, thoughts on Sting taking a bump, especially with his neck issues. Boy, I tell you, it's tough because, yeah, you look at it, and obviously he's old. He's just a little younger than me. All the years of abuse, and with that serious injury, your immediate reaction is, yeah, dude, that should be enough. And, you know, it's time to say when. But also, as somebody who's been retired from it for some time, I am shocked by how much I miss it every day still. I thought by now, you know, that would have subsided. So I kind of get why it's really, really hard for some people to walk away from it. Exactly. Good point, Marius. Also, run your car every day to make sure the battery doesn't die during the winter, right? And I don't know. Maybe they did do that. So I shouldn't criticize saying that it wasn't done, but it sure as hell should have been. I mean, that, to me, you talk about government responsibility. That's the responsibility. You got a population of people who have no idea, and nor should they know what they're supposed to do in this situation to try and keep themselves and their property safe. The least you could do is be making sure the word's getting out there. Listen, when it's below freezing, run water through your pipes every so often, every few hours. Just run, not hot, warm water through all the pipes in your house. Go to all your sinks, go to the shower, go to the bath, let it all run through, make sure everything's thawed out, shut it off, in a few hours, do it again. Just little things like that. And as you say, if you're going to have extended periods of time where it's below freezing, start your car every so often. You know, because again, how would people know that? They don't deal with that shit. It seems like, well, probably not enough. I was going to say, even you would have thought they had enough notification because they knew this was coming for a while. I remember them talking about it, but I don't know if they had enough notice to really flood at some of the, like the big box stores like Walmart, Targets, and the grocery stores and stuff with some ice melter and shit like that, so people could have picked that up just to protect themselves from shit canning it once they get out onto the sidewalk. But I don't know. That might have been asking a lot to get all that stuff delivered in that short a period of time. Dasbro says, with this daily routine of yours, I can't tell you're retired. I think you might work more than you did before. You know what, Dasbro? It's funny you say that. You rarely ever hear me call it work, because I did work my whole life, and work sucked, and I love this. But I involve myself in the channel and the goosh far, far more hours per week than I ever did in my job. But again, it doesn't feel like it because I'm having fun. And I wasn't having fun driving a truck, and I wasn't having fun, throwing garbage into the back of a truck and stuff. I'm having fun doing this. But yes, the hours I spend on it are far more. And it's 7 days a week, 365. Shadow says, can we just get back to the simpler times when YouTube didn't give a shit? Also, please react to Big Bill Hells. Well, the thing of it, too, is, Shadow, it's more than anything else. With PewDie's video, they have a system in place. Age restrict it. I mean, what do you guys think? Am I right? Isn't what that's for? If you're saying that content wasn't appropriate, and calling it bullying is just asinine. I mean, calling it bullying in the sense that it's an obviously satirical video, that's sketch comedy. Nobody was actually bullied. And anybody dumb enough to mistake that for reality has issues that aren't going to be corrected by removing that video. Sinister Charlie says, how do you feel about the new Attack on Titan season? Is the Goosh worth it? Well, Goosh is worth 100 times. No, I haven't watched OT's new season yet because we're going to watch it together at the Goosh. So I haven't caught up on it yet. I can't wait to see it. I don't know. You know, anything's worth is up to the individual. For us, I mean, we have a really good time over there at the Goosh, and it's finally a place where, because we can't do it on YouTube, where we all get to hang out together and enjoy anime. So, Stormstar says, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. Right, Stormstar. That's why you never really hear me referring to this as work, because it just doesn't feel like work. It's just, put it this way. If I wasn't making money from doing this, would I still be doing it? No, because I would have to work to bring in the money I need to support our lives here. If I was independently wealthy and wasn't making anything, would I still be doing this? Yes, without a question. I love doing this. Rover says, YouTube basically approaches everything as if someone's going to get offended by it, and they evaluate each video on how much backlash they'd get if someone did. You're 100% right, Rover. You're 100% right. And what's even worse is that evaluation gets much more intense and thorough depending on who posted the video. And that's what's really not fair. Nancy says, what would you do to fix YouTube? Well, there's a lot of things for starters. First of all, I would work within their own parameters that they set. Here's a perfect example. That PewDiePie video, I would have age restricted it. I thought that's what that's there for. For me, from a personal standpoint, I had said when YouTube put in their copyright policies, the most recent ones, I had said, hey, I even defended them on that one. A lot of people were screaming that, this copyright crap is bullshit. You take my video down, I have to file a counterclaim. I defended them because, as I said, they have to do that. They have to recognize DMCA complaints. They've put in a system for it. I went through it a million times. It was working. If you felt you legitimately had the legal right to post that video and you counterclaimed, they did exactly what they were supposed to. Granted, it was a pain in the ass to have your video taken down during the process, but it was the best YouTube could do. They forwarded your response to the complainant, and then that complainant had 10 days to take action. Either release the claim or take action against you. That's how the system was designed to work. They had it right. And then they said, well, let's add a feature where you can just block videos. And it's like, but that's redundant. If you believe that content is in there that belongs to you and you don't want it up there, you file the copyright claim. But then it became apparent to me when they blocked one of my videos and I sent that same response that I was sent on a copyright claim explaining why I felt that I was completely within my legal rights to post it, then YouTube would just go to the original complaint and say, well, this is what he said. Oh, no, you still don't want it up there? Okay, fuck you. You can't post your video. So YouTube will get something right and then manage to take another step to fuck it back up again. So those would be the places I would start. And the biggest thing I would do is, if I were trying to fix YouTube, is not be so goddamn worried about what everyone might think as far... With the whole Adpocalypse thing, they just threw everything, this whole community, on its ear because some dipshit from the Wall Street Journal was able to refresh a video enough times to get an ad he considered to be offensive on a video. all YouTube had to do, because they have a system in place. It's not perfect. No system is. They have a system in place to try and keep those ads out of there. All YouTube had to do is say, yes, that does happen on occasion. It's unfortunate. There's a way you can go ahead and report it, and we will see that those types of ads do not continue to be served. That's all you had to say. And you could tell the advertisers, YouTube advertising is the best deal you'll ever get. It's the first time that you could buy advertising and you only pay for it if the person actually sees your ad. It's not like a commercial on TV where they flip the channels and you still pay for that ad. It's great. YouTube was not going to lose those advertisers. The ones that are worried, the politically correct advertisers would have pulled their ads for a while and they would have filtered right back in, because the bottom line is still the dollars. So the whole decision-making process would be different if I were trying to fix YouTube. Let's see. Hi, Kurto. The government loves to give billionaires billions of bucks in bailouts, but can't give us normies 2,000 in stimulus. Well, I unironically, a blue raspberry. Yeah, I mean, the waste in government is just egregious. And the thing of it is, well, I don't want to derail this too much, strictly politics, only because we'll have chats and videos devoted just to that. But yes, you're right. And not the rich individuals, but the corporations get far too many breaks. That's where I part with that. Again, that's why I say it's a whole middle thing for me, because I believe in trickle-down economics to a degree. I think that there is a thing such as trickle-down. It's just that Republicans like to put way too much on the top. And when you overload the top of the sundae, not much of that chocolate syrup actually ends up dripping down to the ice cream layers below. And I think there are ways to correct that as well. Yeah, Trevor says YouTube just wants to satisfy all these PC corporations. Exactly. And you're never going to satisfy them all. Nor should you have to try. That Adpocalypse thing was the most ridiculous, unnecessary thing I think I've ever seen as far as the internet wars that we've all been involved in. Because talk about making a mountain out of a molehill. So that writer found one ad that he thought. The thing of it too is that the ads YouTube places are generated on your viewing habits.
Oh,
so even if that ad was offensive to a lot of us, it probably wasn't even offensive to the people most of the people that were seeing it. But regardless, YouTube, it's not like YouTube was a Wild West. They had and still have a system in place to try and prevent those ads from sneaking through. But on occasion, it does happen. That's all they had to do. That's all they had to do, is acknowledge that and say, we're doing the best we can. We're constantly working on making that system even better, but nothing is perfect. And advertising with us on YouTube is still the best bang for your advertising buck, and here's why. That's all they had to do. And instead we went through that whole rigmarole and they restructured the whole system. And now we got people looking at this and people are looking at that, and don't monetize videos yet until we can go in and review them by hand. Calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ. Cthulhu says, the fruit of wisdom and knowledge shouldn't have been an apple. It should have been a banana or cucumber. Something phallic shaped, better absorption. That's a solid point, Cthulhu. Yeah, I go with cucumber. I think as far as phallic shaped foods go, I think you guys will agree with me. I think cucumber is just a little funnier than banana, so we should have gone cucumber. Dowler says, God, that shrimp fucked my stomach up. Oh, I'm not a big fan of shrimp anyway, but I don't eat it at all anymore because, yeah, shrimp likes to just completely get into my digestive system and go, fuck you, and start just screwing around down there. Oh, man, I love McFlurries, Tyler. What one did you get? Tyler's eating a McFlurry right now. The only thing is, am I remembering right? Because I get them mixed up. There's different places you can get the McFlurries. I like the ones where you can get Heath Bar in them. I don't think McDonald's Flurries had those, do they? I think at McDonald's always got the Oreos. I love Heath Bar in soft chocolate, The soft vanilla ice cream. Oh yeah, that's very good. Gogo says, Curtis, how do you feel about abolishing the military? I fully support that. Yeah, no. Wait a second. That's not a serious question, right? You realize the position that America is currently in as far as their military and what it protects throughout the entirety of the globe, right? Come on. No, come on. No, nobody's that dumb. That's got to be trolling. Willie Place says, can we surprise adopt Susan and give her a late term abortion? Really late, huh? and again, trust me, it brings me no joy to come down on YouTube and to rail about them. I want this platform to work. I've been on this for a long time. I really want it to work. I don't know why. Well, yeah, I do know why, because they're too worried about being politically correct all the time. YouTube seems to just make things so fucking much more complicated than they have to be. That's pretty good, Cthulhu. Shrimp is the Cartman of seafood. You'll respect my authority. Wolverine says, as president, would you screw the Westboro Baptists? Those psychopaths. Jesus Christ. Those are some mentally deficient motherfuckers right there, Wolverine. Jeez. That is true. Mike Etzweiler says America also invades a lot of countries for their own sake. That's another thing I would like. Yeah, that I'll agree with. I think there are some times we've gotten involved and taken unfair criticism for it. And I think there's been a lot of cases where we've gotten involved. I'm only for getting militarily involved if there is a direct threat of some sort to our way of life. Period. That's it. I mean, if we have to get involved because we have good intelligence that says somebody within this nation, within this region, is plotting an act against us, then you don't have too much choice. If we're getting involved because we're concerned that government X is going to be less friendly to us than government Y, no. That's the reason we keep a strong military budget, because we can defend ourselves. We don't get involved in what the people of a specific, we shouldn't be involved in what the people of a specific region wish to accomplish. I mean, you can make the case then, what if people are dying? I mean, what if people, like what's going on with the Chinese? What if people are being victimized and are screaming out for help? Then yeah, you like to get involved, but that is one of the few places where I think that should be UN involvement. You've got to get a consortium of other nations that all agree that something needs to be done. Chester said, I fought in Iraq. It was pretty gay, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. You did? You fought in Iraq, Charlie? Oh, I can imagine, my friend. I can only imagine. Rosa says, just nuke the Middle East. You'll never get trouble from them again. It's unfortunate. I mean, that how many centuries has it been that the Middle East has been in turmoil? And there's not anything, I mean, there's not anything we're going to do to stop that. Does that mean we wash our hands to them? No, of course not. But it doesn't mean that we get involved militarily every time that we see an opportunity to better ourselves. If we can go into a situation and we have support from a large portion of the world community saying, listen, something's got to be done because there's a group of people in here that are being victimized and it's just not right. Then you start getting into an area where as a military superpower, don't we have something of an obligation? But I do agree with what has been brought up, that we as Americans in the past, we have expanded that too far. It's like anything that, you know what, we might like this regime better than that regime. Yeah, let's send in a few ground troops, covertly, of course. And no, I don't believe in that. Cthulhu says the Westboro Baptists make me look sane. Yeah, Yeah, that's a disgusting, vile group of people right there. I don't know what that is, Bob Jones. Somebody else brought that up. Thoughts on Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage? I don't know anything about that one. Nothing at all. Gogo says, "No, I'm being serious. There's no World War II level threat. We don't need it anymore. Keep the Ghost Guard, but that's it." So you honestly believe, Gogo? You honestly believe that with only a Coast Guard, that you will not see Russia trying to impart their ways upon America? You don't think that China will take advantage of America? And you don't think that North Korea and Iran will be working overtime to actually militarily dominate America? You really think that? No, come on. No, nobody's that dumb. Ian says the reason why the Middle East is so bad now is because of the actions of richer countries like us and the British and Turkey. Well, the thing is, Ian, come on, let's be honest. The Middle East has been in turmoil for centuries. Now, again, I'm not saying that Western nations haven't gotten involved when they shouldn't have. They absolutely have. But to say that it's only bad because of them is incorrect. The issues in the Middle East, like on the Gaza Strip, they have nothing to do with the West. Mike says, have you practiced any other martial arts other than wrestling? I myself practiced Kempo karate for years and had a great time with it. Oh, yeah, I've been exposed to a few just because I've been a gym rat my whole life. So, anytime you saw somebody that practiced a different form or something like that, you'd try and pick up what you could. The first one was Muay Thai. I love Muay Thai. I still, in my workouts, I still incorporate a lot of the Muay Thai tactics into them and everything. So yeah, I've had a few. Muay Thai, couple different forms of karate, some jiu-jitsu. None, don't get me wrong, none I'm proficient in, but I have a base knowledge in. I never got dedicated to one specific martial art, is what I'm saying, but I've had exposure to a number of them. Oh, exposure. What's your take on the Capitol riots? Oh, that was ridiculous till the end of time. I can't say I'm surprised by it, but it's certainly too bad that things ever come to that point. I'm not a fan of any time that a protest turns to violence. I think we have every right in this country to protest within the framework of keeping everybody safe during the protests. I don't see too many people, whether it's the Capitol riots or other protests, want to say, well, we're unhappy, so now all bets are off. We have a right to protest. We can protest wherever we want, do whatever. That's not the case. And it never was stated to be the case. So the Capitol riots were a stain, obviously. An absolute stain. Hold on, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. Bob says it's a horror movie where Nick Cage beats up Chuck E. Cheese style animatronics. Watch the trailers. Is that what it's about, Bob? That's kind of fun. Just the concept makes me laugh. Kicking the shit out of Chucky and the band. I could see myself enjoying that. Willie says, "Why is everyone talking about my Wonderland? That was supposed to be my secret safe house where I keep my Nigerians." I'll have to look it up. What is that? It's got to be Netflix or one of the streaming services. I like that concept. Let's see. Lick says even though getting rid of the U.S. military would lead to world war, sure it would. Oh, there's no question. That's why I can't believe anybody is serious about that. I mean, it's just absurd. Whether we like it or not, just through the progression of things on this planet, America's military is now of the utmost importance to keeping peace in the world. It just is. Yeah. That's the position we've put ourselves in, whether we meant to or not. And any failing in that regard, I think, will end up bad for the entire planet. What are you talking about, Gogo? Russia, China, and the Haiti of Asia, North Korea aren't going to do shit. Really? That would hurt them as much as it would. How is it going to hurt them? We don't have a military. What the fuck are you talking about? It would hurt them. You don't have a military. They could come down here in mass. How many billion people live in China? They could all just come on over with, with baseball bats with a nail in them and take over. What the fuck do you mean they wouldn't do shit? What on earth makes you believe? Well, I mean, that I shouldn't even be responding. I know I'm getting trolled and falling into it. Cthulhu says, if violence isn't the solution, you're not using enough of it. Even terror groups have a point where they take a step back and say, hold up, nope. That's unfortunate, but that's the nature of humankind. I mean, sometimes violence is a necessity to remain safe as an individual or as an individual nation or individual organization. It just it is what it is. Lifer says, wait, is she talking about the color out of space? I watched that with my girlfriend. It's a gem. No, it's Willy's Wonderland, Lifer. I think that's what you're referring to. This Nick Cage movie. Everybody was just been talking about it, and the way it was just described to me does sound like something that would humor me a lot. Alex says, what if America falls like Rome? That would be bad for the whole world, Alex. It would be really bad. I mean, there are plenty of Western nations, there are plenty of democratic nations, free nations with militaries, but there's no questioning that America's military is the mightiest. And that affects our allies every bit as much as it affects us as Americans. That's why it just amazes me when people talk about that, or they talk about the military budget. None of us know what we need for a military budget, because the things I'm convinced, the things they spend the most money on, as far as staying ahead of the game, as far as staying ahead of China and Russia, who are both pumping money into their military, staying ahead of them and making sure that we don't get caught with our pants down with some sort of attack that isn't conventional in nature. I'm sure that has a huge price tag on it. If America fell like Rome, the entire structure of the globe will change. I think there's little doubt about it. Nathan says, I've watched Fist of the North Star. Not all of it. I haven't seen all of it yet. I've seen a bunch of episodes of it so far, though, and yes, it's good. It's good. It's good old school fun. I've gotten to where, even though I wasn't into anime when I was younger, I was always into cartoons, and there's just something about that old school feel to the animation and stuff that I really enjoy. Exactly, Chrome. Chrome says, instead of building up their own militaries, a lot of European countries pay the U.S. military to protect them. That's why there was a big stink with Germany a few years ago when Trump made them pay more. Yeah, I mean, and that alludes to exactly what I'm saying. I mean, whether we like the position that America's in militarily or not, the fact is, it is what it is. And to keep the world safe, and it's been this way for many decades, folks. It's since the Cold War, the idea of MAD, mutually assured destruction, as a means of keeping the peace, may not be as front and center, but it's always just below the surface. We may not have the same obvious sight line with our enemies that we had during the Cold War, but any weakness in the U.S. military, any indication that we are substantially weaker than Russia and even more so than China, or are vulnerable to attack, hello North Korea, Iran, will change the landscape of the world. It is that fear of American retribution that keeps a lot of things in check. It just is the way it is. Whether we like it or not, that's the facts. Oh no. Gogo might be a mental midget. Johnny says, look at their USC profile pic. No. Was that a USC profile pic? Don't we immediately ban those anyway? If not, we should. We should have that policy. You're talking about somebody that I want to be prejudiced against. It's USC. Oh, that was a Trojan, wasn't it? I didn't even notice that. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm a troll because I have a different opinion than you? No, you're a troll because if that's an honest opinion, you're fucking stupid. there's some things that are opinion, and then there's some things that are just absolutely moronic. What you're talking about falls into the latter. The U.S. not having a military, you think is an opinion. It's your opinion that that would work out well. No, there's no opinion to it. That won't work out well for anybody. But at least the whole Trojan thing explained it. Uzman says, hey man, really big fan. For my little brother, can you say Buddha, which means old man? Did I say that right? Buddha or Buddha? How would you? No, it'd be Buddha with the H, right? For your little brother? Okay, I think I'm going to say it right. Buddha. Which means old man. Wait a second. So did I just call myself a name? I kind of look like Buddha. Russia, China are going for information warfare, but the only reason for that is because they know they couldn't do it directly by force. Right. They're forcing it out of their methods. Exactly, Rover. That's why I say it always makes me laugh when people talk about the military budget in America. None of us, myself included, know exactly what that needs to be to keep us safe. Because just as you said, everything has become staying ahead from a technical aspect more than a boots on ground aspect has been for many years now. And that cost of staying on top of the technology has got to be staggering. Because if we let anybody get a significant technological edge on us from a military standpoint, we're more screwed than we are if we let them get a boots on the ground edge. It doesn't matter how many more soldiers China or Russia may have than us, because that's not how wars of the future are going to be fought if they are engaged anyway. Trojan, for when you don't want a dumbass kid who wants to abolish the military. Yeah, even you guys know me. I am anti-socialism completely. I think it's a horrible form of government. But I can at least acquiesce, as misguided as it may be, I feel it is, a socialist has their reasons for believing that that form of government would work. I just think it's wrong. That's an opinion. Saying that the U.S. should just get rid of its military, you can claim it's an opinion, but it's blatantly false and it's stupid. It's just ridiculous. If you can't see what would happen if the United States didn't have a military in the current world structure, then you're beyond help. Cthulhu says, never going to give you up. You got rickrolled. Go says, but it's an opinion by definition. Okay, how about we acquiesce that it is an opinion? It's the opinion of a moron. It's the opinion that would be accepted just in the same way that I could say it's my opinion that the base color of Fat Boo on my phone case here, that base color is green. That's my opinion. It's wrong and it's stupid. Oh, but in that respect, yeah. Yes, then it's an opinion. If that makes you feel better. Chrome says, well then, even then, China and Russia do go about using proxy wars with the U.S., such as egging on Syria and other countries to fight the U.S., or at least they're terrorists, right? And that's where I'm sure a lot of the military budget goes nowadays is, again, into the digital means, into the interception of conversations, just like what Chrome outlined there. Excuse me. People are afraid of China, Russia, and Iran, CC Meta says, but I'm more afraid of Switzerland. Those neutral motherfuckers always seemed up to something shady. Wouldn't that be funny, CC? If the next world war takes place and we come to... That's pretty good. And we come to find out that Switzerland was the ultimate badass all along, and they're the only ones left. They're standing on top of the globe, sword in hand, fist raised in victory. My favorite number of the alphabet is orange. Exactly, Trax. Exactly. That's funny. Crow says you can still have a stupid opinion, and it's an opinion. It's my opinion that Curtis got a phone cover with his face on it. I didn't switch, Loot. That phone is when I thought I was going to be going down to do the Disney streams. I needed a second phone to be able to monitor. So this one here, I can't see my monitor right now, is an old phone I had, and I was going to use for that, just for digital. I still got my girl on my actual phone. That one was basically just a device to have so I could monitor the chat and stuff. Let's see. Ian says the next world war would be a nuclear war, meaning a conventional military wouldn't do anything. Probably, Ian, would unfortunately explode into a nuclear war. Put it this way, if there was another world war, you're right. It's not the vast majority of the fighting would be done by means other than boots on ground, rifles pointed at each other. You're right on that. And again, that's why you can't really quantify. We can't really quantify as individuals what we need to spend on the military anymore, because unlike the old days where it was obvious, you needed tanks, you needed planes, you needed soldiers. Now, more than anything else, what we need is technology. Charlie says, I fought in Iraq and built a school in Africa. Can't we just get drunk? Also, have you seen Death Parade? Great anime. Death Parade. No.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. Sometimes, well, you guys know my memory. I have to stop and think. No, Death Parade I didn't see. I do remember, boy, it's been a while. I do remember people talk. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I do remember people mentioning that title to me before, though. But no, I haven't seen that one. You know what makes me laugh too with when we do talk politics, and we'll be doing a political stream soon. When we do talk politics, it's funny though, because I'm particularly an old white guy. A lot of the flack I'll get back is that, well, that's just because old people are set in their ways, and you don't care about the young people. That's why you have the views you do. And regardless of whether you agree with me or not, that is the absolute antithesis of the truth. I am well aware that I'm almost 60. I've got my retirement all set. I've got things set in my life. Any major changes outside of a war or something that changes the landscape, any major changes in the way we do things in this country are not going to have a huge effect on me in the years I have left. Every single opinion, every single policy I support is out of concern for my kids and grandkids now. So whether you agree with me or not, I can guarantee you that my motivation is all about the people that are the age of most of you guys, not about my age. And it's not even a thing where it's not like being magnanimous or something. It's just, it's not going to affect me. Change doesn't happen that quickly. So the things that we see, the things that I worry about, are me worrying about what Braxton's going to deal with and what my grandkids are going to deal with. Not about anything for myself. It's not going to affect me. Not to any large scale. Steve says, can you not talk like that, please? You have a long time left to live, bitch. I hope so, Steve. I hope so. Some days it feels shorter than others, though. Rover says, on a scale of green to completely brown, where's your limit for acceptable banana consumption? I'm a bitch when it comes to bananas. I only want them in that certain category. When there's any too much green to them at all, not only do they not taste good, they always make me feel a little sick. And then you get, when they get so brown that you peel them and they're like my dick and they just kind of fall over into mush, you've missed that window of opportunity. I like when they're good and yellow with good little spots of brown, pretty much like my face is getting. I have a Simpsons character with little spots of brown up and down. So they're just in that ripened area. Outside of that, I'm a little bitch about it. I'm like, no, fuck it. I'm not eating it. It's not what I wanted. M says, Curtis sold his soul to the devil. He's going to live forever. By the way, thanks for the soul, Curtis. We'll put M. I can say this. It makes me feel good. I think you guys will agree with me. This isn't supposed to be insulting by any means. I think there's a lot of you guys that whatever my eventuality is, I think a lot of you guys are going to be there with me because we have very similar similar ways of looking at things. I think M's going to be there with me. I think Jack's going to be there with me, and Chrome and Wolverine and Big Green. I think most of you guys are probably going to be there with me. Lex is going to be there with me. I think Krusty's going to be there with me. Yeah, Krusty says, I like when they're good in yellow. God damn, thank God we have context. Dasbrote says, it's a guy who dropped down on me. Oh, as a guy who never had a father figure during his puberty. Oh, that's too bad. I appreciate that you never let Brax experience it. Wonder how the puberty did go for him outside of recording, or was he the same not on cam? Yeah, we've always been... Again, and I always told Brax that if this is something that he wanted to go into, you know, this online entertainment and stuff, everything you guys see is what you get. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's good for you guys or good for me to pretend that I'm something I'm not, even if it makes me look bad. You guys have seen that a million times before. It's just like you don't have to worry about being caught, as so many YouTubers have, being a phony, as long as you're always genuine. It's just like I say with all the YouTubers that get caught saying the N-word. People say to me, oh, there's got to be somewhere back, you know, I can probably find it somewhere where you said it. You probably can when we were discussing the usage of the word. But as far as finding me saying it, defaming someone, or saying it in just common usage to describe something, I'm not going to slip because I don't use the word. I don't like the word. And I'm somebody who doesn't even believe in the concept of curse words. I mean, calling, as I've always said, saying that shit is a curse word or a naughty word and poopy is cute is fucking dumb to me. Mean the same thing. Let's go with the meaning. And the simple fact is, the meaning of the N-word is it exists just to demean someone. So you don't have to worry about slipping when it's not something you ever do. Why would you slip? Downward says, how does Johnny not have a dog in the fight when you're talking about doing away with his current past career? Nice logic, Go-Go. I'm come to the conclusion, Downward, I'm thinking that Go-Go is just really looking for attention now. It's got to be. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're just either trolling or just desperate for attention before assuming what is more evident in that they're just really, really dumb. So let's hope. I don't know what you mean, pal. What's that white thing that's hanging from the ceiling? By the way, has Orphanland opened up yet? It's been 40 years. Orphanland? What do you see? Now you got me curious about white thing. I'm looking at my monitor. White thing hanging from the ceiling. Are you talking about right here? If that's not hanging from the ceiling, that's actually, you can't quite make it out, but that's hanging from the edge of the bookshelf there, and that's Gara's bag. Somebody gave that to me ages ago. I'm assuming that's what you mean. I don't see anything else. Chrome says, Go-Go's now saying, isn't Johnny a military member? He has no dog in the fight, only civilians do. So yeah, that's it. So I mean, Chrome, isn't it sus? It just sounds like, again, now it's another cry for attention. Rover says, thanks, Curtis. Now I need a brown banana. I'm going to think about you talking about your dong. That's what you get. Oh, boy. And listen, let me tell you something. Especially at this point, my dong is a really disappointing thing. It's just so sad. Go make toast in the bathtub, Tyler says. Dad, there's some white stuff on the floor. That's my ass. Come on, Emma. Commander Mills says, "Sup, Kurt? It's Winston. Changed my profile a little bit." Oh, your profile, yeah, because the picture's the same, right? That's Winston from what series is it? TF2? You always had. Well, I don't know if that was the exact same profile picture, but you always had that character as your profile picture, right, Winston? Because that's how again, it's just evidence to me of how important that you guys are to me. Is I remember stuff like that, but that I know that character was always your icon pick. I don't know if it was that exact same picture of him though. Jesus Christ, Nolan. I like my women like I like my coffee, ground up and stored in the freezer for freshness. Oh God, you guys are funny. Lix is breaking it down for us more. See, it's funny because dong means penis. I can't tell you how much I love you guys. Rover says, "Don't call Curtis out from the white stuff hanging off the ceiling. He can't control the direction he shoots in." Rover, fuck. If I could still hit the ceiling, I'd let that stuff hang anywhere. I would be so fucking happy. I wouldn't care who saw it. I ain't hitting ceilings no more, pal. I did see that CDV. He says Kurama just died in the Boruto manga, only because it was all over social media. Typically, when I see an anime thing, like every so often I'll see One Piece episode 9, whatever, I immediately fly out of it because I don't want spoilers. But A, I know I'm not going to be watching Boruto, and B, that one snuck up on me. It not only said Kurama, but before I stopped to think about what I was reading, it said Kurama in the trending, and then it had a little description about it below that I caught. Because typically, as soon as I see anything about anime in a trending or anywhere on social media or on the internet, I'm out. Wolf Paw says, "We're a bunch of fucked up people, ain't we?" I love this community. Genuine guys. I just enjoy this so much. So Golden do that ceiling. Now that's possible, Trevor. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. I don't want to be near any golden remnants. I know that. Go left. Did he collect it? Oh, it's just as well. And Big Green says, "Yeah, fuck Boruto." There's always plenty of passengers on the fuck Boruto train. I have noticed that. Sploosh says, "Go and all the other liberals are going to run and hide when we do get invaded and wish we had our military around." Well, in fairness, Sploosh, I don't even think Go is necessarily just a liberal. I think he's a lunatic. And I mean, in fairness, all liberals aren't nuts. I've got a lot of friends who are liberals, and I don't know any of them who wouldn't be right with us in saying that Go is a complete moron for even suggesting something like we get rid of the military. That's just stupidity. Commander Mill says, "You got one guess to guess what I'm eating right now. Hint, it's microwavable. Then it better be a frozen burrito." Lick says, "What are all of our death plans, minus to die of AIDS, sitting in a back alley at age 30, coated in spunk, making the police report disturbed." Lick's on a fucking roll today. I so wish we could somehow leverage together a meetup. I told you guys the plan. My wife and I would like in a year and a half. We would like to move. I've had enough in New York. I mean, not only Cuomo, because it looks like he might be out soon anyway, but not just Cuomo, and it's just the taxes here. And I've had enough of the cold weather. We're leaning more and more towards going towards Orlando. We're thinking North Carolina. My wife really wants to do Florida. She loves the heat. I'm not as big a fan, but for her, I don't mind it. I can get around it. But if that were the case, one thing would be certain, even if we couldn't do regular meetups, because Orlando is typically a reasonable airport to fly into because of all the theme parks and everything, I would make it known regularly where I'm going to be within Orlando on certain days, times, and then when people happen to be in the area or want to come into the area, we could at least be doing meetups in smaller segments. I mean, if someday for some reason the channel took off, we had a few million subscribers, we could probably do meetups that would, be supported enough people could actually make it to them to make it worthwhile. But I would love to do that at some point. Commander Mill says, I went to Florida in December. It was awesome. Yeah, we've taken several Disney trips in December. Commander Mills, yeah, that Winston, that's a great time to be there. We always had a good time. It's after hurricane season, so you don't have that threat hanging over you. And usually the weather, it's not a super rainy time of the year, and it's still warm, but the weather's, taking a bit of a break. Willie says, Curtis, one of Hell's layers is made of ice. I didn't know that. So tell Satan to move that shit up so when my crush says when hell freezes over, we'll have to uphold her end of the deal. Oh yeah, Willie. There are so many checks to be cashed if we could prove that hell had frozen over. Oh, Rockin' Steve says New York is awful, to be honest. It truly is, Steve. And it's only going to get worse. With as many billions as we are in debt, I mean, and we've seen for decades what the plan is here. Anytime there's a shortfall, the taxes go up more. That's what they're going to do. They're just going to start taxing us more and more and more. There's no two ways about it. Let's see. Mike says, if you live in Florida, just check your butthole for broken glass every morning. Those meth heads get creative. Philip says, I'd like to die at home in my bed after having sex with my wife after a huge party with my children, grandchildren, and possibly my great-grandchildren. Sounds like a great way to die. It actually does, Philip. It actually does. I don't think you can go out too much more better, complete, and peaceful, more peaceful than that. I agreed. Rockin' Steve B says, here in Pennsylvania, they toll us to death, which is just as bad. I see that. There's a lot. I know you guys have, or always was the case. I don't travel as much now that I'm not driving on weekends like I used to. I used to drive motor coach on weekends. I know you guys always had a lot of issues with the condition of roads. Not that we don't here in New York, we do as well. But I do remember that always stuck in my mind about Pennsylvania. It's like, wow, they just don't put any money into infrastructure because the roads were always brutal. Mr. Host says, watch Sia's new movie called Music about a girl with autism. Had all the subtlety of riding the bus with my sister starring Rosie O'Donnell. Yikes. Really? Mr. Host, your stream boss. Not being a big Sia fan, and not even talking about her music, just as a person, I just think she's a wingnut, and not in a good way. Yeah, I could see anything that she would be involved with like that probably being over the edge. I'm not surprised. Thomas says, yeah, December is like the one time of year Florida isn't on hell's front porch. Yeah, we've had great times down there, Thomas, in December.
Oh, yeah.
We really enjoy the time of year. Plus, with enjoying the parks, with enjoying Disney, you got all the Christmas decorations up and everything, and it is gorgeous. I mean, they do a hell of a job. Yeah, we love it down there in December. Excuse me, guys. Downward says, I'm going out on a parachute strapped with explosives, and I'll live on through the people that breathe in my blood mist. It's not a bad idea either. I always say, yeah, I like Philip's plan, but damn, going out in a big blaze of glory might be fun too. When I die, I just want the word reserved on my gravestone, Rover says. I always tell my wife I just want a game over. She says that's too flippant. I don't even know if I'm having a gravestone. She's always pressuring me about that. We got to make our final arrangements. I said, you make them. She says, well, what do you want? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? I said, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be dead. Drag my ass out in the backyard and let me decompose. I don't give a fuck. And some people, that's like a really, really big deal to them. Right? If that's your thing, that's fine. But I couldn't give a shit less. Commander Mill says, okay, I want to die listening to Never Gonna Give You Up while doing backflips over a canyon. Oh, Johnny says Sia gives Sarah Sanders a run for her money in the ugliest woman department. Yikes. Robert says my grandma's going to be shot off a pier in a firework. It was what she always wanted. Understandable. Willie says I want to die from laughing too hard while getting a BJ from Riley Reed. There's a real chance that I could have my eventual heart attack from laughing too hard. Well, you guys have seen that. And that would be a perfectly fitting way for me to go for somebody who has always loved to laugh my whole life. That would be fitting. Or it could be doing these try not to laugh things where I just bottle it up so much that I implode. Either way, laughter will be involved at some level. Nolan says, I called the hospital to tell them my wife was going into labor at home. The receptionist asked, is this her first child? What a stupid question. I had to tell her, no, this is her husband. Wah, wah. All right, that's pretty good. Wimitoad says, I think there are a few things that went wrong with Boruto. One, the introduction of technology just killed the vibe of the original show. Two, some of the characters' children are just a copy and paste. Number two, I haven't watched Boruto, Wimitoad, but number two I've heard a lot. I've heard that as a gripe about it a lot. Philip says, honestly, I wouldn't mind a nice little plot of land on the family farm. Nice little family cemetery. God knows we've got the room. That's kind of cool. Anything like that is kind of homey and nice. I agree with you on those, Philip. Johnny says, I almost had to kill someone today in a Target parking lot because the dipshit wasn't paying attention, almost backed over my daughter. I was so fucking hot. Yeah, that's the tweak point, Johnny. I'm with you. That's, I've gotten myself to a point in life where I can put up with a lot of shit before I snap, because snapping is never good for me, because it's when I snap, it's really bad. But yeah, anything that endangers my kids, yeah, that would not go well. Wolverine says, cremation is an Indian tradition. I'm opt out.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Is that traditional in India? I didn't know that, Wolverine. That's where I am, Niall. He says, I don't care what people do with my body. Throw me off a fucking cliff you want, I'll be dead. That's the way I look at it. And I know, because I don't, maybe a lot of it, people are concerned, maybe it ties in together with their thoughts of afterlife, which I don't believe in, so maybe that's why I don't understand it. But yeah, you guys, when I die, I'll donate my body to you guys if you guys want to play with it and stuff and point at it and laugh and, kick me in the dick and shit. I do whatever you want. I don't care. Shelby says, I'd like my organs to be donated. Burn the rest and plant me to become a tree. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, that's another thing, too. Anybody wants my organs, feel free to harvest. I'm done with them at that point. Hey, ECI. Chris says, Curtis, can I have your body? Yeah, I'm going to share it with all you guys. Sploosh says, turn me into a sex doll. I don't fucking care. Hey, Nathan. Tyler says, when I'm dead, donate my body to the military so they can test explosives. You guys are good. Mr. Host says, I want them to toss my corpse in the Grand Canyon. Oops, I did it again. All right, guys, I got to go. I'm hoping today, if not today, it'll be tomorrow. I do want to make another video expanding more on what I was talking about this morning. It's honestly really disturbed me. This whole thing with them taking PewDiePie's video down, and for reasons other than just the obvious and what I covered in that video this morning. But it's something I think bears discussing even further, because it stretches much further than YouTube. And I think what happened here is indicative of a really, really bad trend that we see going on in social media in general, and the influence that they are being allowed to have on our lives with little to no oversight. And I just think it's a bad thing. And I know you guys are going to think I'm talking about politics, but not really per se. I'm talking about formulating opinions of all type, and that they have way too much control over it. And that this PewDiePie thing is a perfect example, because it's not political in its base sense. It's extended now to where, hey, I don't fucking like you, and I'm Google YouTube. I got this whole fucking army of lawyers. Fuck you. And that's dangerous and something needs to be done. But I'm going to make a video about that at some point. Hopefully it'll be today. Guys, thank you for Free For All Friday. As always, this was a ton of fun. Hopefully Gogo is out getting the help that he or she needs right now. If that type of help, if that level of assistance exists. But this was a blast, as it always is. I just have such a good time hanging out with you guys, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys allowing me to be a part of your lives. So with that in mind, with this very community feel and everything, this is some extra family friendly. So don't freak out, Susan. This is extra family friendly sticky stuff. Now, by family friendly, I mean, it's going to try and invade orifices of your body because it's friendly invasion that it normally wouldn't. So be a little concerned as you take in this sticky stuff. There might be an moment like that or two. Here it comes, family friendly sticky stuff for you, pompu, for you. See, it's getting into spots you'd never even imagined, isn't it? Sticky stuff for everybody, because we'll bang, okay? Flashly like Buggy. And as always, most importantly, and always in every orifice, goosh, 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 goosh. Goosh.